If you take a closer look at the world map, you'll notice something oddly fascinating. Europe and Africa, separated by just a whisper of sea. At the Strait of Gibraltar, only 8.8 miles lie between the rocky shores of southern Spain and the rugged coastline of northern Morocco. That's it, just 9 miles. You could drive that distance in under 15 minutes. So here's the question. With today's technology and the world full of record-breaking bridges, why hasn't anyone built one here? For perspective, China's Danyang-Kunshan Grand Bridge stretches a mind-blowing 102 miles. Other countries have built bridges across raging rivers, frozen oceans, even deep, open sea. Yet nothing connects Europe to Africa. It seems like the perfect opportunity. 2 continents 9 miles apart. A structure that could transform tourism, supercharge trade, and become a symbol of unity between worlds. But that dream remains just that, a dream. What's really hiding beneath this narrow stretch of water? Is it just engineering challenges? Or is there something more? Something no one talks about? This isn't just a short distance on a map. It's a mystery that's defied logic, ambition, and global cooperation for decades. And the deeper we dive, the stranger it gets. Imagine a bridge that doesn't just connect 2 places, but 2 worlds. A physical link between Europe and Africa would reshape the map, not just geographically, but economically, socially, and politically. Over 1.5 billion Africans would have direct access to European markets, while 740 million Europeans could more easily explore the rich cultures and booming cities of Africa. The result? A tidal wave of movement, opportunity, and transformation. Tourism would explode overnight. Morocco, already a top African destination, welcomed nearly $9 billion from international tourism in 2022, with Europeans making up 70% of those visitors. And Spain, a global tourism magnet with over 82 million annual tourists, yet only a tiny fraction come from Africa. A bridge could change that in an instant. But it's not just people that would cross. Goods, resources, and commerce would flow faster and cheaper than ever before. No more slow cargo ships or pricey air freights, just direct high-speed rail transporting products between continents in record time. A single structure could unlock billions in trade, create jobs, and bring 2 continents closer than ever before. And yet, despite all the potential, this bridge still doesn't exist. Why? Because the deeper we look, the more impossible it starts to seem. Beneath the surface of this narrow stretch lies one of the most chaotic shipping lanes on the planet. The Strait of Gibraltar isn't just a border between continents. It's the gateway between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. And every year, more than 100,000 ships squeeze through this tight passage. That's nearly 1 vessel every 5 minutes. For comparison, the famous Panama Canal sees only 14,000 ships a year, just a fraction of Gibraltar's traffic. Now picture this. A massive bridge stretching across that chaos. Construction alone would paralyze global shipping routes for years. But even when complete, the bridge would face another problem, the giants of the sea. Massive cargo ships like the CMA-CGM Jacques Sade, towering over 250 feet, must pass through uninterrupted. That means any bridge would have to rise higher than a 20-story building, just to let ships pass beneath. Could we build a drawbridge? Not a chance. With a ship every 5 minutes, the bridge would spend more time open than closed, turning road traffic into a nightmare. So now we're left with a dilemma. Build higher, build smarter, or don't build at all. And the problems only get deeper, literally. If the constant stream of ships wasn't challenging enough, wait until you hear what's below the surface. The Strait of Gibraltar may look narrow on a map, but it hides a jaw-dropping secret: its depth. In some sections, this stretch of water plunges to over 3,000 feet. That's deep enough to stack 2.5 Empire State Buildings straight down into the abyss. By comparison, the waters beneath the Golden Gate Bridge are just over 300 feet deep. Even the world's deepest bridge, the Padma Bridge in Bangladesh, only reaches down 417 feet into the riverbed. Now imagine trying to anchor massive concrete bridge pillars 7 times deeper than anything ever attempted. We're talking about construction on a level that pushes the edge of human engineering. It's not just deep, it's dangerously deep. The seabed here is unpredictable, uneven, treacherous, and the technology required to drill and stabilize structures at such extreme depths is still in its infancy. Even if we could build that high above water and that deep below it, the strait throws another curveball. Because the ground beneath isn't just deep, it's unstable, and it's shaking with energy that could strike at any moment. As if crushing depths and relentless ship traffic weren't enough, the Strait of Gibraltar sits on top of something even more dangerous, a ticking time bomb beneath the Earth's crust. Right below this narrow waterway lies the Azores-Gibraltar Transform Fault, where the African and Eurasian tectonic plates collide. It's one of the most unstable geological zones in the region, and it's constantly shifting. In 1755, this fault unleashed one of the deadliest earthquakes in recorded history, the Lisbon earthquake. It struck with an estimated magnitude of 9.0, leveling 12,000 buildings and triggering a tsunami with waves up to 65 feet high. Over 70,000 people lost their lives across Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. And it wasn't a one-time event. In 2004, a powerful 6.3 magnitude quake rocked northern Morocco, flattening over 2,500 buildings and killing more than 600 people. Now picture trying to build a colossal structure, one that spans continents, on top of a fault line like this. Even if we could engineer it, could it survive the next big quake? And just when you think the ground couldn't get any more dangerous, we find something else hiding deep beneath the seabed. And it's even more unstable than the fault line itself. Even if engineers could conquer the deep and outsmart earthquakes, there's one obstacle that's even harder to overcome: politics. The bridge would need to connect Spain and Morocco, two nations with a long and complicated history. And that history is far from peaceful. On the northern edge of Morocco lie two cities, Ceuta and Melilla. Though they're on African soil, they've been under Spanish control for centuries. Morocco sees them as occupied land. Spain sees them as permanent Spanish territories. This disagreement has already led to conflict. In 1957, tensions exploded into the Ifni War, a bloody battle that claimed over 1,700 lives and left scars that never fully healed. And the drama doesn't stop there. To the east sits Gibraltar, a rocky outpost on the Spanish coast that's actually a British overseas territory. It's been under British rule since 1713, and Spain has never been happy about it. Any construction across the strait would have to consider British maritime zones, too. So now, three countries, Spain, Morocco, and the UK, would need to work together, fund the project, and share control. And let's be honest, cooperation on that level is easier said than done. If politics, earthquakes, and impossible depths weren't enough to stop this bridge, what about killer whales? That's not a metaphor. Since 2020, there have been over 700 reported attacks by orcas in the Strait of Gibraltar. These aren't playful encounters. Boats have been rammed, rudders torn off, and entire vessels left sinking. In May 2023, a group of seasoned sailors was blindsided, their rudder destroyed, their boat taking on water fast. These orcas aren't shy. They're organized, fast, and powerful, reaching 35 miles per hour and delivering a bite force of nearly 19,000 psi. That's 120 times stronger than a human. Now imagine construction crews working underwater. Divers, welders, engineers, all vulnerable to these highly intelligent predators. Equipment could be damaged, workers could be injured, timelines delayed, costs skyrocketed. And if that's not eerie enough, ancient myths whisper of something even darker. According to Greek historian Diodorus Siculus, Hercules himself narrowed the strait to keep sea monsters out of the Mediterranean. Whether it was a metaphor or a warning, one thing is clear: people have feared this stretch of water for thousands of years. From modern-day orcas to ancient beasts, it seems nature has its own reasons for keeping this crossing untouched. Over the years, engineers and dreamers have pitched bold ideas to bridge the continents, but none quite as wild as this. In 2004, visionary American architect Eugene Tsui unveiled an audacious plan: a 9-mile megastructure stretching from Tarifa, Spain to Point Suez, Morocco. But this wouldn't be just a bridge. The first mile on each end would be a gradual slope, leading into an underwater tunnel made of waterproof concrete, diving to a depth of 650 feet. There, beneath the waves, 24 lanes of cars, buses, and even trains would move in both directions. But in the middle, that's where things get even stranger. Sui proposed a 3-mile-wide floating island, complete with resorts, a theater, and 150 wind turbines towering above, while 80 underwater turbines churned energy from the sea below. He claimed this one-of-a-kind structure could generate enough renewable power to light up the entire city of Cadiz, and even all of Morocco. But here's the catch. How does a concrete tunnel float at 650 feet? How does an artificial island stay anchored in a volatile sea prone to quakes? Brilliant? Maybe. Feasible? Not quite. Sometimes, the line between genius and fantasy is only as wide as the strait itself. If a bridge seems impossible, what about going underneath the sea? Believe it or not, the idea of a tunnel beneath the Strait of Gibraltar dates all the way back to the 1930s. Spain proposed a route that would allow vehicles to pass under the seabed, safely connecting Europe and Africa. But there was one massive problem. The rock below the strait is brutally hard, making traditional drilling nearly impossible. Some engineers proposed an underwater tunnel anchored to the seabed with high-tension cables, but for the technology of the time, it was a fantasy. Fast forward to 1979, Spain and Morocco reignited the dream with a plan called the Europe-Africa-Gibraltar Fixed Link. It would connect Madrid to Casablanca by rail, with a 17-mile underwater section between Tarifa and Tangiers, diving to depths of 1,500 feet. That's 6 times deeper than the Channel Tunnel between the UK and France. But it's also half the depth of the strait's narrowest point, making it humanity's best shot at a real connection. Still, the risks remain: extreme depth, hard rock, earthquake zones. For decades, the project stalled. But then, something happened that brought it back to life. After nearly a century of ambition, planning, and setbacks, could the long-lost dream of connecting Europe and Africa finally come true? In 2023, something unexpected happened. Spain, Portugal, and Morocco were selected to co-host the 2030 FIFA World Cup, marking the first time 2 continents would share the world's biggest sporting event. With millions of fans expected to travel between Europe and North Africa, the demand for faster, easier transportation has never been greater. Suddenly, the Gibraltar Strait Tunnel was back on the table. Spain invested $2.5 million into updated feasibility studies, exploring what it would take to bring the tunnel to life. The results? A high-speed rail link that could carry over 12 million passengers a year, connecting Madrid to Casablanca in just 5 hours. A full 7 hours faster than the ferry and car route today. Is it still wildly ambitious? Yes. Expensive? Absolutely. But for the first time in decades, it feels possible. A bridge may be out of reach, but a tunnel? A tunnel might just be the gateway the world has waited for. Because some divides aren't meant to last forever. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you cross from Europe to Africa, you won't need a boat or a plane. Just a train.